In 1700, the most powerful throne in Europe sat empty. The man who had occupied it for 35 years couldn't walk until he was 8. Couldn't chew his food his entire life, and was so deformed that his own court called him El Hechizado, the Bewitched. The autopsy and the DNA. His autopsy would reveal a body so damaged that doctors were shocked he'd lived at all. This is the story of Charles II of Spain, the king whose DNA was a family tree that looked more like a family wreath. To understand Charles II, we need to talk about the Habsburg family's darkest secret. They married each other. A lot. For generations, the Habsburgs, rulers of Spain, Austria, and half of Europe. His grandmother was simultaneously his aunt. His great-grandmother appeared in his family tree 8 separate times. Born on November 6, 1661, in Madrid. Baby Charles was immediately recognized. His tongue was too large for his mouth, a condition called macroglossia. His jaw jutted forward so severely that his teeth didn't align. The infamous Habsburg jaw.
Holy Mother, deliver him. Deliver us all.
The Spanish court whispered. Priests prayed. His mother, Queen Mariana, taken to its horrifying extreme, was convinced he'd been cursed by witchcraft, hence his nickname. The Bewitched. Charles didn't walk until he was 8 years old. He couldn't speak clearly until age 9. And even then, people struggled to understand him. He drooled constantly because he couldn't close his mouth properly. He suffered from seizures that his doctors called the falling sickness. But here's the cruel irony. Charles wasn't just heir to the Spanish throne. He was the throne. His father, Philip IV, had produced countless children, but Charles was the only surviving legitimate son. This sick, disabled child was the entire future of the Spanish Empire. An empire that stretched from Madrid to Manila, from Mexico to Milan. In 1665, at just 4 years old, Charles became King of Spain. Of course, he couldn't actually rule. He could barely speak. His mother became regent, while powerful nobles circled like vultures, all fighting to control the boy king. But as Charles grew older, things didn't get better. They got worse. The physical reality. By his teenage years, Charles stood as a physical tragedy. He was thin, weak, his legs unable to fully support his body. His oversized tongue made eating nearly impossible. Servants had to pre-chew his food. Court documents describe him as having a melancholic and feeble disposition. Modern doctors who've studied his medical records believe he suffered from combined pituitary hormone deficiency, renal tubular acidosis, and possibly Klinefelter syndrome. The marriage crisis. Here's where it gets truly sad. Charles needed an heir. The entire Spanish succession depended on it. In 1679, at 18, he married Marie-Louise of Orleans, a French princess. The marriage was a disaster. Charles was impotent, likely due to his numerous genetic conditions. Marie-Louise wrote letters home, describing her horror at the situation. She died suddenly in 1689. Some whispered poison. Though it was probably appendicitis, having produced no children. Desperate, Charles married again in 1690. This time to Maria Anna. The result? The same. No children, no heir. The dynasty was dying with him. The bewitchment hysteria. As Charles's health deteriorated and his marriages remained childless, the Spanish court became convinced of supernatural causes. In 1698, they brought in an exorcist, Father Froilan Diaz. Charles, desperate and confused, believed it. They fed Charles bizarre potions. They dug up the corpse of a previous queen to check for witchcraft. Nothing worked, because the problem wasn't witchcraft. It was centuries of genetic catastrophe. By 1700, Charles II was dying at just 38, ancient and ravaged by his genetic fate. But the real crisis wasn't his suffering. It was the future of his enormous empire. The French Bourbons and the Austrian Habsburgs prepared for war, waiting for the king's final breath. On October 3, 1700, Charles signed his will, naming Philip of Anjou, the grandson of Louis XIV of France, as his sole heir. He hoped this would preserve Spain's empire, but it only guaranteed war. Charles II died on November 1, 1700. His final autopsy report is a shocking testament to his life. Doctors found a heart the size of a peppercorn, corroded lungs, and a body with not a single drop of blood. His death didn't bring peace. It unleashed the War of the Spanish Succession, a conflict that would drag Europe into decades of bloodshed, because the last Spanish Habsburg was literally destroyed by his own family tree.